So today we are looking at Team 4. Hopefully the last team. I don't know if I can do another Shapeshifter after this. But we've got a few solid players. I mean, at this point it is just as standard as we know. Obviously centre-backs go into either a DM, a cam or a striker. Strikers go into centre-back. Goalkeepers go into centre-mids. It's kind of around about the same sort of vibe. But there is a few nice icons, and I must admit they are at least semi-decent with this. We've obviously got a bit of Cantona, we've got Rio Ferdinand, Sauer, and also Michael Owen. Now, Owen's in on the left wing, which, to be honest, is probably a very good position. With strikers that we've got so far, it's definitely not the worst position you could go for him, to be honest. So if we was to have a look over on Futbin, these are kind of all the icons. I might do a full updated list on kind of like Thursday maybe, just prior to footies coming out, just to see where we're at with certain players. Obviously SBCs and objectives are also in them as well. So we have got a fair few icons now, obviously being Team 4. You'd expect it at this point. We've got Sauer coming in at 5.95. We've got Rio Ferdinand at 2.8 that we'll get to. 4.1 for Cantona and Owen at 7.88. Now, to be honest with Owen, at 97 rated, you've obviously got the quadruple playstyle plus. You look at the likes of Cantona and also Rio, they have got the 5. And I don't know, is that quintuplet or something? But regardless, you've obviously got 4 for Owen. He's not going to see a 5th for a while, but he has got the rapid, he's got the finesse, so as a striker, forward, winger, they are the most important in this. You don't really need too much more from that, bar from the stats. He's got the 4.5, which I do think by now we should be at the 5.5 realistically, but we have got a pretty end game sort of Owen realistically. Like, there's no, he can go to 99, it's a 2 overall upgrade. It's not going to be that crazy of an upgrade, I guarantee. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for El Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with El Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. You see a lot of these 98s. You see a Rio, you see a Cantona. You push them to 99. There isn't going to be that much difference. The only difference you're going to find is a playstyle plus. When we look at all of the roles on them, they've all now pretty much got pluses in every avenue. So it's almost like we don't have them as such, unless you play them out of position. That's going to be the difference. But they're all pluses. Yes, the 5.5 would be a nice little bonus. It isn't, again, going to be that big of a difference. So you're going to kind of already see that sort of level. When we do look at Sauers, I think them two are kind of coming in as the higher but medium icons from this. You've got another left mid striker. It's not personally my kind of preferred position with her. I think with the fact that we've got so many wingers already, I'm trying to think, would I put her over many of the players that you might already have? You've already got a lot of evolutions, a lot of players in there, and maybe even packed even one left wing or a striker that is just better. So unfortunately for her, I do think she is usable. She's most definitely up there with the best of them. But she's going to be a question mark onto whether you'd actually put her in the team. And it would go down to your team. So I do think Owen would come in as the top end there. And I would say very usable for Sauer as well. And that kind of then brings us into the Cantona and also Rio era. You've obviously got the centre mid, CDM or cam for Cantona. And to be honest, that works in his favour. He was always kind of that centre forward striker, but he could play in that cam role really well. Now having the 5 playstyle pluses, technical, I can deal with, incisive, beautiful, pinged pass, tiki-taka, and a bit of intercept. If only we swapped the technical for like a low driven, a power shot, a finesse, a trivela, it would have been a brilliant 5. Now, I don't think we're going to get 6. I really think 6 would be a bit too much. At this point, you might as well get to the end of the game and just give us all the playstyle pluses. I would really be interested to see how that would actually work, if it would break the game or not. But Cantona is obviously one of them, that the 5.5, stats across the board, you got everything you need. You throw the anchor on him. He's just a perfect player at this point. This is an end game sort of player, and it just works perfectly for him. I'd go I'd probably still go centre mid for him, actually. I don't know if I'd go into that cam. I think the cam would still suit him down to the ground. He's still going to be able to shoot, but a finesse wouldn't go amiss at all. Whereas Rio, to be honest, this is probably a solid position for him. And to be fair, they've given him everything. They really have. He's got the 5'4". Finesse, absolute check. First touch, take it. Quick step, fantastic. Low driven, fantastic. And a bit of aerial. I mean, that for me is one of the better strikers that you can get in the game without a question. Obviously, you want to go with the mostly lengthy, which is where a lot of people are going to lie with this. Obviously, Engine's going to be the more better playstyle plus, but you could throw anything on him if you go with, what was finisher artist, if you go with, say... Or we've got shooting already at the 98, so we don't really need too much of that. You could go Deadeye, but is it mainly going to be the dribbling? You could go with this... The Maestro still would work, to be fair. I mean, you're looking... The Engine is going to be the perfect one for the agility balance. So if you don't want the mostly lengthy, then obviously you can go with the controlled. But if you go with mostly lengthy, you kind of get that benefit of that sort of speed up boost. But to be fair to him, he's going to be one of the better strikers. They've kind of put him in that avenue. They've given him 5 very good playstyle pluses. He will definitely put up with the best of them. Now, until we get into footies, this card will be brilliant for right now. I tell you, give 2 weeks of footies and he will be dropped. Mbappe, R9, CR7, Messi, Eusebio, once they start getting into these 98, 99s, 5 playstyle pluses, he's not going to be able to be at that top. He will be for right now, most definitely, but he won't be in that near future. The one disappointing factor with Shapeshifters is it feels like we haven't had that many heroes. Now, whether we're going to go massive heavy on heroes in the coming weeks, just because that's going to be footies potentially, but it just doesn't seem like we've gone crazy on them. Icons seem to have taken that centre stage. We got Nor and Lucio for this. Lucio obviously coming in as a solid kind of counterpart to his 94 that he's got. 1.6 mil, CDM, can play centre mid and also right back, with only a 4 playstyle plus as well. Is an interesting one. I think for Lucio, because he's so good as the 94, I really like him as that centre-back, whereas the 97 is a very good card. You probably got to put him into that top meta. I just think I prefer him as the centre-back. As more like Rio, brilliant centre-back. I'd actually prefer the striker card. Same with Cantona, Owen the exact same, whereas Lucio, I think I'd still prefer his centre-back. His centre-back is absolutely godly. Now, obviously, if you could play this card in centre-back, absolutely no problem, but that isn't going to happen. Nor, on the other hand, is coming in as the 95, definitely on the lower side of a kind of striker here. We got him absolutely bottomed out, and as a 95, unfortunately, he is just going to be fodder. Like that, the card itself is all right, but we've got so many of them now. You kind of you forget that we've literally got a full team reserves and bench of 98s now. 95, unfortunately, isn't going to cut it, and realistically, you're not going to use him in the Evo. Now, when we go into Shapeshifter Team 4, obviously there is going to be a bit of a flex in price at the moment. We've still got some players that come in that are just unfortunately not going to be there. Like we see some of the higher rated cards, solid in terms of stats, and most definitely if you do manage to get them over a 94, 95, if you're brand new to the game, they're better than nothing. But realistically, if you've been playing week in, week out for the game, they're just not going to be up there with the best of them. So realistically, you're kind of pumping in a few of the kind of the nons, like Carpenter. You're going to be able to put them unusable, but that's going to be about it. You obviously look at a lot of the lower rated ones. We see obviously Dawson, I think is how you pronounce her name, but she's going to come in more as fodder. It's like Nor, unfortunately. There is going to be fodder options, a lot of them being in the kind of bottom end more than anything. Williams, obviously, coming in as Morelio is kind of up there a little bit more, but you can kind of see 12k. Like, I like that they've chosen different leagues. That's kind of the only thing that I really do like from this, but realistically, they're just not going to be used. Let's be like Coleman, great nostalgic throwback, but realistically, not going to go anywhere with it. So we'll throw all of them in to kind of that kind of zone where no one wants, and then we'll move on to the players that are at least semi up there with the best of them at this point. So Pretty much from there, I think that's everybody. Obviously got Morelio coming in as the left back. He was coming in as a centre back prior. He has got a future star as well, which is nice. And he did get the quadruple, which is always good. Technical quick step would definitely drop him down. And I think if he was just away from that and maybe had a slide tackle or jockey instead of one of them, I think that would have bumped his price over that 100k mark. I really do. The stats there is as good as anybody. That's kind of the understatement now with this is stats are stats. Like they're all 90 plus and above. You're going to have to look at the kind of the in-games as such. You can kind of see the composure side of it. Make sure that everything is ticking the right areas, because you don't want necessarily, like, say, 89 passing, but you realise they've only got 40 free kick accuracy, and that's what's dropping them down. But everything else is 93 and above. You've definitely got to look out on that one. But in terms of some of them that kind of come in now, I think Sergio Busquets is kind of one that I'm absolutely ecstatic to see. Mainly for the links. Now, obviously, he's going to be in the fodder pile. He's quite literally just a link for the Inter Miami boys. He's not going to be in anybody's team at this point. As a cam, is okay, but realistically he's not going to be up there. Whereas now you kind of look at him and you think, I can throw in a Messi, Suarez, Sergio, Jordi Alba, obviously then go a bit further down for a few of the others, and more than likely through footers we'll see a few more go in as well. Whether we see kind of anything more from the World Cup, the Club World Cup, whether we see anything more from there in terms of players, not necessarily just into Miami, that'll be the interesting part of footers. Switching it to another zone here, Reece James, absolutely phenomenal card. I didn't know if we was actually going to get anything more from him, because we did get the 96 right back that is brilliant, but this is just a whole new level for him. A great card upgrade for him. 98 rated, finesse, incisive, rapid, low driven. It's a brilliant right wing or a cam. I think for me he puts himself absolutely up there for the moment. Like I say, this will change massively once we get the 99s, once we get into footies. The big boys are going to come back. We're going to get all of them with bigger upgrades. We're obviously seeing a lot more of kind of like the medium names, the Ezes, the Karchauis, the Marquinhoses. Once we start getting into the Valverdes, the De Jongs, kind of like the Messi, Ronaldos, all of them, that's when we're really going to see a lot of these just absolutely disappear. Talking about Eze though, phenomenal upgrade for him. He is obviously going to be the SBC for this week. I think it's a great upgrade. Again, I'm not a massive fan of the rapid technical combination, but I mean, with the finesse and low driven, I can handle it. He's got the striker, the left wing, right wing. You could definitely make this card work. He's versatile across the board. Obviously, he's got himself the 5-5, all of the plus rolls. Beautiful card. I genuinely think, as an SBC goes, one of the better ones that we've seen for quite some time, to be honest. If we then throw in a little bit more, we go on to Doku in this instead. Coming in as the 98 rated striker. He's finally got an upgrade since his 89 at the start of the game. He did get an inform, but this is a massive needed upgrade for him. Again with a rapid technical. It's the same playstyle pluses, but he can play striker or cam. To be honest, I'd have kind of liked him on the wing, but obviously it's being a shapeshifter. It works. I think you'd definitely be looking at more of a striker than a cam, in my opinion. But I do think he puts himself up there. Now, whether I think he's I don't know if I'd say a top meta. I think he'd be just under, in my opinion, especially if I'm thinking he's not going to be the cam aspect sort of striker. If he had incisive rather than the technical, I think you could make it work. But as a striker, I still think he comes in under a lot of the other players that we're going to have in the list, in the attacking list as such. We then throw in a few more. We've obviously got a brand new centre-back coming in Emmanuel Omega. I want to say you pronounce his name. I again don't know whether it is. Centre-back 97. We're obviously playing him from a striking position, standard. Long ball pass, jockey, or block in fact, aerial and bruiser. Anticipate would have been nice. That would have been kind of the clincher for me there. I think if we didn't have the long ball, would have liked to seen it. But he can obviously play the centre mid as well. So he's not just a centre back, which is perfect. I think putting him into the centre mid is going to be slightly better. And obviously he is coming in at 6'5", so he could play both. You could put him in the CDM and he'd be absolutely wonderful. So I do think, looking at him, he's going to be a solid kind of high medium at the moment and then drop down slowly. We've obviously then got Ruben Neves coming in, who is going to be another centre-back that you can throw in, obviously playing in the centre mid. Does have himself a 96 card with the Portuguese national team, or the nation winning team. Lovely upgrade for him there. Another fantastic one here as well. Left back, right back, centre back. Necessarily isn't quite the 6'5" giant that obviously is from Emmanuel, but 5'11" could play him as a fullback. Would kind of come under, for me, a little bit of that standard sort of card. I don't know if I'd quite say he's kind of on the thread of a very usable, but I would say he kind of comes into more of the usable if I'm thinking centre-back. Full-back, I could get a little bit more out of him at the moment. We then also have Karchawi, who's obviously coming in. Sakina as the 98 striker. Again, very much like Doku. A nice upgrade for her. She's obviously got the quick step, the first touch, the finesse, and the low driven. Perfect playstyle pluses, perfect stats, great 5-5. I just think as a striker prowess, she's not going to give me everything. I think she's been a bit underwhelming this year from any version. Like, I liked her left back. I thought it was good for the time. Definitely dropped down quite quickly. The team of the season was a bit naff in my opinion. I can see why that dropped down massively. I mean, at the moment, her being 98, fantastic. One of the highest rated, if not technically the highest rated card you could physically get in the game. That's going to drop and she's going to drop. So I'm not even going to entertain the top meta at this point for her. We also have Goulet, I would say you pronounce his name. We've got Arda. 206k, 97 striker again. Again, a bit underwhelming this year. I think he's always had a card that's been okay. Like, obviously, last year he had the 97 that turned out really well, especially how far they went. But it just wasn't really the card that you want. At this point, we've got so many cards like him, unfortunately. And he's got the chip shot plus, the tiki-taka, the finesse, and the technical. That's not going to work as a striker. And even as a winger, it's not the greatest playstyle pluses in my opinion. I think stats alone will get him into the very usable, but I do think he drops down very, very quickly in my opinion for this. I really don't see him being too high rated or too highly rated in this game for much longer, to be honest. I think he needs a 99 with all the trims and whistles, to be honest. Marquinhos, though, does come in as a pretty good CDM. He's most definitely one of the better cards you can throw in this. Thiago Silva comes to mind as well when you throw a CDM in there, and he definitely get the job done. Now, whether I think he's absolutely up in the top, I don't think so. I think he comes in as a solid CDM centre mid, but he's definitely better as a high-end centre-back, more so than anything. And then we have finally got the right back from Germany. It is going to be Maximilian. 80k, pretty standard. I don't know why we've left him till last. It's a big hype up for him, but he's very standard. Let's be real. So that is going to be everybody for today. Obviously, there's nobody going to be in that Evo as of yet. 95s and 96s are not available. And to be honest, most of these players, other than maybe Sergio Busquets, because obviously you'd put him for the Messi link, they're the only ones that you'd possibly go with an Evo at some point. So let me know what you think. Have you managed to get anyone so far, or are you waiting for footies? Peace.